Hello and welcome back to Money Moves Daily, your Eurozone report. It's Friday, September 5th. I'm Sophia Reyes.
And I'm Jason Miller. Sophia, the markets are a bit of a mixed bag this morning. The German DAX is showing some modest gains, but the CAC 40 in France is dipping slightly. What's driving this push and pull?
Well, Jason, the big story creating ripples across the financial landscape is definitely coming out of Frankfurt. European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde has issued a stark warning regarding stablecoin regulation, calling for a significant tightening of rules for non-EU issuers. This is directly impacting how some are viewing the future of digital assets within the bloc.
Stablecoins. For our listeners who might be thinking, what on earth is a stablecoin and why should I care? Can you break that down? And why is Lagarde suddenly getting so tough on them? It feels like just when we get our heads around one new financial concept, another one pops up with more bureaucracy from Brussels.
You're right to ask. Stablecoins are essentially cryptocurrencies designed to minimize price volatility, usually by pegging their value to a stable asset like the US dollar or the euro. Think of them as a bridge between traditional finance and the crypto world. Lagarde's concern, highlighted in her speech to the European Systemic Risk Board, is that existing EU rules, specifically the Markets in Crypto Assets or MiCA regulation, have gaps. She believes these gaps could allow non-EU stablecoin issuers to operate within the bloc without the same robust safeguards as their EU counterparts, creating what's known as regulatory arbitrage.
So, basically, it's like a leaky faucet where money could potentially flow out without the right protections. What kind of risks is she worried about? Is this a financial stability kind of risk or more about protecting everyday investors?
Professional tone. Both, actually. Lagarde warned that in a crisis, investors would naturally flock to redeem their stablecoins in jurisdictions with the strongest protections, meaning the EU. But if the reserves held within the EU aren't sufficient to meet that concentrated demand from non-EU issuers, it could destabilize the market. She stressed that non-EU issuers must be held to the same standards as those operating inside the EU to prevent these runs on reserves. It's a clear signal that the ECB is taking the oversight of digital assets very seriously as they integrate more deeply into the financial system.
That makes sense. Shifting gears a bit from the digital to the more traditional markets, we saw the German DAX having a pretty good run yesterday, though it's a bit mixed today. Stock market won. Any particular sectors or companies standing out? I heard some news about who's in and who's out of the DAX.
Analytical. Indeed, the DAX climbed about 0.74% yesterday, outperforming some of its European peers. This was partly fueled by growing expectations of a potential Federal Reserve rate cut, which generally boosts market sentiment. We saw strong performances from industrial giants like Siemens Energy, which was up 3.7%, Heidelberg Materials gaining 3.5%, and Deutsche Telekom adding 2.4%. These are certainly positive signs for Germany's industrial backbone.
So some solid blue chip growth there. What about the changes you mentioned?
Right. In some interesting news for the index, Porsche AG and healthcare group Sartorius are preparing to exit the DAX in the upcoming quarterly reshuffling, with Scout24 and GEA Group set to take their places from September 22nd.
Intriguing. Always good to keep an eye on those rotations. Now, for our quick hits segment, Sophia, what else is grabbing headlines across the Eurozone?
Fast-paced. First up, some encouraging news on the employment front. The euro area's unemployment rate actually fell slightly in July to 6.2%, down from 6.3% in June. This was largely expected, but still a positive indicator, driven by a reduction in unemployed persons, particularly in Greece and Italy.
Hopeful. That's great news for workers across the bloc. What else?
Next, on the manufacturing side, the euro area's final manufacturing PMI for August was revised upwards to 50.7, indicating an expansion. This upward revision was significantly driven by France, where the manufacturing sector continues to benefit from lower interest rates and energy prices, a good sign for French industry.
Nodding. A bit of a manufacturing renaissance, perhaps. And finally, on the ECB front, beyond Lagarde's stablecoin comments.
The ECB continues to emphasize its data-dependent approach to monetary policy, meaning future rate decisions will entirely hinge on incoming inflation and growth data.
Thoughtful. Data dependent. I guess that keeps us all on our toes, doesn't it? Which brings us to what to watch for the coming days. What should listeners be bracing for?
All eyes will be on the flash euro area HICP inflation figures for August, due out very soon. Analysts are currently projecting the year-over-year rate to come in around 2%, which would be below the previous expected 2.1%.
Anticipatory. So, if inflation comes in lower than expected, what could that mean for markets and, more importantly, for the average consumer?
Analytical, a softer inflation print would certainly give the ECB more breathing room and could reinforce the market's expectation that the era of aggressive rate hikes is truly behind us. For consumers, it could signal easing price pressures, which is always welcome news. Conversely, an unexpected uptick could spark concerns and potentially shift the ECB's stance.
Always a tightrope walk with inflation, isn't it? Well, Sophia, that's a comprehensive look at the Eurozone today. From stablecoin regulation to shifting indices and vital inflation data, it's certainly not a quiet week.
Concluding, never a dull moment, Jason. The interplay of policy, market performance, and economic data continues to shape the European financial narrative.
That's all the time we have for today on Money Moves Daily, the Eurozone Report. Thank you, Sophia, for your sharp insights.
Always a pleasure, Jason.
And thank you, our listeners, for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe and share the podcast to stay ahead of the curve on all things Eurozone finance. We'll be back tomorrow with more crucial updates. Until then, keep making those money moves.
Outro music fades in and out.